India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the three-day Raisina Dialogue, India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geostrategy in the national capital today. It is being organized by the Ministry of External Affairs in collaboration with Observer Research Foundation. Prime Minister of Greece will deliver the keynote address. The theme of the conference this year is Chaturanga, that is conflict, contest, cooperate, create. Chaturanga is an ancient Indian board game. It predates chess and is considered the first strategy board game ever invented. Meghana Dev gets us more.
Arrivals have started in New Delhi for India's premier conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, the Raisina Dialogue 2024. The Raisina Dialogue is being held in New Delhi from 21st to 23rd February and will address challenging issues facing the global community. With the theme Chaturanga, conflict, contest, cooperate, create. The conference will delve into issues under diverse sub-thematic pillars like war and peace, tech regulations, invest, innovate, and more.
I'm here to speak about our calling for this century.
And this year, under India's leadership of the G20, we're putting sustainable development at the center of the agenda.
We have moved to a new mindset where solutions to climate challenge become the drivers of a new economic age.
India has emerged as a powerful leader and policy maker.
At the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, is also paying a state visit to India from 21st to 22nd February 2024 and will be the chief guest and keynote speaker at the 9th Raisina Dialogue. Every year, leaders in politics, business, media and civil society converge in New Delhi to discuss the state of the world and explore opportunities for cooperation on a wide range of contemporary matters.
When a few nations set the agenda and expected others to fall in line are over.
Hamas and the people who support Hamas are fully responsible for this appalling act of terror.
The health crisis during the pandemic, who could you call? And more importantly, who would answer?
The dialogue is structured as a multi-stakeholder, cross-sectoral discussion involving heads of state, cabinet ministers and local government officials who are joined by thought leaders from private sector, media and academia. The conference is hosted by the Observer Research Foundation in partnership with the Indian Ministry of External Affairs. Meghna Dev reports for DD India.
All right, DD India's correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us for more. Jessica, good morning. Today we'll see the Raisina Dialogue take place. Explain to us the theme this year, Chaturanga, that is conflict, contest, cooperate and create in association with the current geopolitical situation, the geopolitical circumstances facing the world.
That's right, Preeti. And this year's theme is quite interesting as well. We want to focus also on tech and innovation, especially what's in it for the developing worlds. There has been a lot of consistent funding when it comes to combating climate change, but India on its premier geo-economic and geopolitical forum, as has been pointed out by the Ministry of External Affairs in India as well, the focus continues to be on how to enhance and engineer growth in various other sectors, apart from, of course, the usual ones where we see quite a lot of momentum in relations with various other countries. Now, if you see the delegations that have arrived in New Delhi for the deliberations further, which are going to be held for the next 2 days, you could see a lot of important matters being discussed. The war theater in the Middle East has got many worried because of the shipping routes being affected in the Red Sea. And that has been a dominant conversation and a dominant discourse in the European countries as well. And as you recall today, the EU foreign ministers meet in Brussels as well, where Dr. S. Jaishankar was also to be part of that. But due to commitments at home, he was here. And of course, looking forward to more than 100 leaders coming in from various countries, from defense to foreign ministers, to defense to foreign ministers, to also individuals who are part of various governments and heads of state. So, of course, lots lined up for the next 3 days. And India continues to showcase its multilateral abilities on how it can incorporate more conversation and especially shifts focus from the issues of the West to the South to a certain extent.
All right, Jessica, now get us more on this edition of the dialogue. This will be the 9th edition of the dialogue. Representatives from more than 100 countries are participating, and we will also see the Greek Prime Minister as the chief guest. He will be giving the keynote address. Let us understand more from you as to how is this dialogue placed on the global page when we talk of its footing.
Well, Preeti, as you pointed out, it's been 9 years since it started out, and it has led to various interesting conversations in the past as well. And you've seen a huge participation, not just around this year, but the previous years it was held as well. India has been able to showcase the platform, which does enable and allows many other issues to take center stage. Right now, if you see, the focus pretty much remains on providing humanitarian aid to Gaza. You saw the UN resolution yesterday, which was backed by the US as well. That continues to take to be more important, so to say, in many other aspects. But India also wants to focus on tech and innovation, in climate action and funding in clean technology, green energy. And recently, India has also sort of put forth its own interests and issues that it would like to take forward. Talking about the Greek Prime Minister, interestingly, it's the first visit of any head of state of Greece since 15 years. And if you recall, last year when Prime Minister Modi was in Greece, both the countries enhanced their relationship as a strategic partnership, which of course enhances the historical ties between the two. And also let's remember how important European countries like Greece and France are for India, who have been our partners for many, many decades ago. It has sort of seen not just a revival, but given a new energy of sorts, and how Greece continues to remain important, not just slowly in the defense sector, where we're expecting to increase our defense imports to Greece. In the last visit by the Prime Minister, you'd recall there were key deals signed as well after India became a strategic partner, as I pointed out. But this time, after the announcement of the India-Middle East Economic Corridor, Greece is quite important to that project because of its important shipping lanes and its ports. So in that aspect as well, deeper cooperation with Greece and of course, tech and innovation continues, and Greece remains to be one of our most important partners in Europe as well.
All right, Jessica, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And Greece Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis arrived in the national capital on Tuesday night. He's accompanied by senior officials and a high-powered business delegation. Prime Minister Mitsotakis will be the chief guest and keynote speaker at the 9th Raisina Dialogue. The visiting Prime Minister will be accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the forecourts of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Mitsotakis will hold bilateral discussions, and Prime Minister Modi will also host a lunch banquet in honor of the visiting dignitary. Prime Minister Mitsotakis will also visit Mumbai before returning to Athens. India's Minister of State for External Affairs, V. Muralidharan, will represent India at the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting today. The two-day meeting is being held in Rio de Janeiro. The minister will also hold bilateral meetings with partner countries from the Global South. During his visit, the minister will participate in two key sessions, including G20's role in dealing with ongoing international tensions and global governance reform. Also, the Minister of State for External Affairs will attend the India-Brazil-South Africa Foreign Ministers meeting on 22nd of February, that is tomorrow. The Neem Summit and Global Neem Trade was organized in New Delhi in collaboration with ICAR, Central Agroforestry Research Institute, Jhansi, in New Delhi on 19th and 20th of February at the NASC complex. The summit highlighted Neem as a top contender for plantation forestry, meeting the demands of the industry while ensuring sustainability. It also championed neem trees as key players in carbon farming, emphasizing their role in combating climate change. Addressing the media, Dr. A. Arunachalam, Director of Central Agroforestry Research Institute, Jhansi, emphasized the neem tree's worldwide significance and its multifaceted utility across different industries. He also touched upon the escalating enthusiasm surrounding the Neem summit.
Neem is a tree species grown in the tropical world across the globe, and almost 80 trees are growing these neem trees and naturally present otherwise. And most of the countries are using this neem tree for sourcing oxygen, for ameliorating the atmospheric climate change, and also earning carbon credits out of these neem plants. So as I see a lot of potential with this species, I also forecast a beneficial requirement of promoting neem in India also for various purposes apart from industry, right through carbon farming also. And this time in India, the World Neem Organization is joining hands with the Indian Council of Agriculture Research to organize it in New Delhi to identify the research gaps pertaining to neem. And this is an exclusive conference for a purpose. Along with this, we are also having a neem trade fair. But in the coming years, we would upscale this activity and bring in more and more stakeholderships, and many representations from the other countries also will participate.
The relics of Lord Buddha, presently kept in the National Museum in India's capital, New Delhi, will be taken to Thailand. The relics will be displayed in 4 cities of Thailand, including Bangkok and Krabi, where people will pay their obeisance to the sacred remnants, and after it, the relics will be flown back to India on 19th of March. A 22-member delegation led by Bihar Governor Rajendra Vishwanath Arlekar will accompany the sacred relics from India to Thailand for a 26-day exposition. The move will further boost cultural and spiritual relations between the two countries. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. Students of Coimbatore in South India's Tamil Nadu attended an orientation of higher education options in the U.S. universities. The event was organized by the U.S. Embassy. Around 17 U.S. universities briefed students about the thrust areas of research and studies with a view to fostering academic collaboration and designing of twinning programs. Srinagar of India's Kashmir received fresh snowfall on Tuesday. Heavy snowfall has been reported from Gulmarg, Sonmarg and other hilly areas of the valley. The Jammu region was also lashed by rainfall. Srinagar-Jammu National Highway was closed due to mudslides at several places. A public awareness campaign, Gaja Yatra, has been taken up by the Forest Department in India's Chhattisgarh to prevent human-elephant conflict. It is a sensitization drive to create awareness among children and the public about the situation and the precautions required to divert the attention. India and Sri Lanka will be holding the 14th round of negotiations on the Economic and Technological Cooperation Agreement in the first week of March in New Delhi. The agreement is to broaden the scope by including services and investment in addition to trade, as against the existing India-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement signed between India and Sri Lanka in 1998. A quick break ahead. You're watching DD India News Hour, but after the break, French warships in Red Sea intercepted and destroyed drones attacks from Yemen in the patrol zones of Red Sea. In a financial disclosure submitted to the Federal Election Commission, Donald Trump's election campaign reported the money raised last month. On the first day of the hearing, lawyers cite safety issues against extradition of Julian Assange to US, say he deserves another appeal.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights and authentic information.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. The United States wielded its veto power once more at the Security Council on Tuesday, blocking a ceasefire resolution, asserting that the proposed resolution from Algeria could jeopardize the delicate negotiations in Cairo working towards sustainable peace. Now, this move has garnered criticism from Council members, while Algeria has reaffirmed its commitment to advocating for an immediate ceasefire. DD India's correspondent Jody Jacobs provides details from the United Nations.
13 members voted in favor, the United Kingdom abstained, and the US vetoed the resolution, which means the document failed to be adopted. Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the US ambassador to the United Nations, said that her country vetoed the resolution over concerns that it would jeopardize talks between the US, Egypt, Israel, and Qatar that seeks to broker a pause in the war and the release of hostages held by Hamas.
Proceeding with a vote today was wishful and irresponsible. And so while we cannot support a resolution that would put sensitive negotiations in jeopardy.
Several council members have criticized the United States' use of the veto, with China saying this sends the wrong message and pushes Gaza further into crisis at a time when Palestinians are struggling on the brink of death. Russia says Washington continues to provide Israel with a license to kill. Algeria, who drafted the resolution, has told the council members that it will not stop until the body shoulders its responsibility and imposes an immediate ceasefire. The Palestinian ambassador to the United Nations questioned when the Security Council would finally act to demand the ceasefire that the vast majority of the world wants to see, while Israel says calling for a ceasefire just further empowers Hamas. The United States has now proposed a separate resolution that calls for a temporary ceasefire.
There were a number of other issues with that resolution, not recognize Israel's right to self-defense, which is a right that Israel has. And there were other issues with that particular resolution. So we think it should be reflected in a resolution, even a humanitarian resolution.
As well as opposing a major ground offensive by Israel in Rafah. Until now, Washington has been averse to use the word ceasefire in any of its UN action. A date for this vote is still to be determined. Meanwhile, the United Nations Secretary General has repeated his calls for a humanitarian ceasefire, with the body's aid agency UNRWA saying that the number of trucks entering Gaza remains well below its target of 500 per day, and it's battling to keep up with the humanitarian needs on the ground. Jody Jacobs at the United Nations in New York, reporting for DD India.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stressed that Israel would not pay any price for the return of the hostages in Gaza amid the ongoing negotiations to secure their release. He vowed to continue the operations in Gaza against Hamas despite the global pressure.
There is considerable pressure in Israel at home and abroad to stop the war before we achieve all its goals, including a deal at any price to free the hostages. We very much want to achieve another release and we are prepared to go for that, but we are not prepared to pay any price. Certainly not the delusional price that Hamas is demanding of us, the meaning of which is defeat of the state of Israel.
French warships in the Red Sea intercepted and destroyed 2 drones in attacks from Yemen. A video footage showed explosions from the commanding deck of the French Navy frigate. According to the officials, during the night of February 19th and 20th, the French multi-mission frigates detected and destroyed drone attacks originating from Yemen in the patrol zones in the Gulf of Aden and the southern Red Sea. Yemen's Houthi militants targeted an Israeli cargo ship MSC Silva in the Gulf of Aden with a number of missiles on Tuesday. Houthi military spokesman Yahya Sarrier said The group used drones to target a number of U.S. warships in the Red Sea and Arabian Sea, as well as sites in Eilat in southern Israel. Meanwhile, the Greek ship attacked in Red Sea by Houthis arrived in the southern Yemeni port of Aden on Tuesday. Recently, shipping risks have escalated due to repeated drone and missile strikes in the Red Sea by Iran-allied Houthis since November. The US and British forces have responded with several strikes on Houthi facilities, but have so far failed to halt the attacks. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday that Russian troops will push further into Ukraine after chaotic fall of Avdiivka. The town, which once had a population of 32,000, fell to Russia on Saturday, Putin's biggest battlefield victory since Russian forces captured the city of Bakhmut in May last year. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that the Russian offensive was continuing and troops were moving westwards. Shoigu said that Russian forces had taken control of the village of Krinky in Kherson region. Putin said on Tuesday that the Ukrainian order to withdraw from the town had been announced after Ukrainian troops had already begun to flee in chaos. He said that all captured Ukrainian soldiers should be accorded their rights under international conventions on prisoners. Putin told military to prepare future advances properly.
Regarding the overall situation in Avdiivka, this is definitely a significant success and I congratulate you. We certainly need to expand on this success. However, any expansion should be well prepared with the right personnel, hardware and ammunition.
President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday that Russia was against the deployment of nuclear weapons in space, and his defense minister flatly denied U.S. claims that Russia was developing a nuclear capability for space. Putin did not rule out talks at defense and foreign ministry level with the United States on strategic stability. He added that Russia's activities in space did not differ from those of other countries, including the United States.
Our position is clear and transparent. We have always been categorically against and are now against the deployment of nuclear weapons in space.
Russia's agriculture minister has said that Moscow had completed its initiative of shipping 200,000 metric tons of free grain to 6 African countries. Putin had promised to deliver free grain to the 6 countries at a summit with African leaders in July, soon after Moscow withdrew from a deal that had allowed Ukraine to ship grain from its Black Sea ports despite the war Russia has been waging. The deal, known as the Black Sea Grain Initiative, had helped lower prices on the global market, but Putin argued that it was failing to get supplies to the countries in most urgent need. Protests by Polish farmers sparked anger in neighboring Ukraine on Tuesday as Kyiv called on the European Commission to take robust action after demonstrators blockaded the border and opened railway carriages to let grain spill out. Tuesday's protest from farmers marked an escalation from previous demonstrations, with a near-total blockade of all Ukrainian border crossings and disruption at ports and on roads nationwide. Exasperated by the Polish protests, Ukrainian hauliers began their own round-the-clock counter-demonstration at 3 crossings. Their protest is planned to last till March 15th. Poland's new pro-European government has supported the farmers' demands, trying to balance this with its strongly pro-Ukrainian stance. Ukraine says the blockades are affecting the defense capability and helping Russia's aims. The United States and Russia will present arguments on Wednesday in proceedings at the UN's highest court examining the charges against Israel in respect of Palestinian territories. The International Court of Justice, also known as the World Court, was asked in 2022 by the UN General Assembly to issue a non-binding opinion on the legal consequences of the charges against Israel. Israel, which is not taking part, said in written comments that the court's involvement could be harmful to achieving a negotiated settlement. More than 50 states will present arguments until February 26th. Egypt and France were also scheduled to speak on Wednesday. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro welcomed Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Tuesday, where the pair held a meeting. Lavrov is visiting Caracas as part of a Latin America tour that took him to Cuba on Monday and will culminate on February 22nd in Brazil. During the visit to Venezuela, Lavrov said that he had strengthened alliances and commitments with the country, among them the deepening of cooperation on oil, gas and nuclear energy. Venezuela is a close ally of Putin, and President Maduro has been vocal about his support for the Russian leader during the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Former U.S. President Donald Trump maintains a considerable lead in the polls ahead of this Saturday's state vote in South Carolina. The latest polling data shows he is 23% ahead of former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley as they vie to become Republican Party's nominee to challenge Joe Biden in November's elections. Meanwhile, Haley has told supporters in South Carolina that she has no intention of dropping out of the race. DD India's Nick Harper reports from Washington on this.
While 58% of Republican voters in South Carolina say they support Donald Trump, 35% say they back Nikki Haley. And that represents a commanding 23-point lead for the former president, with just a few days to go until Saturday's primary. And that's despite South Carolina being Haley's home turf. Remember, it's the place where she was once governor. State by state, voters are having their say about which candidate they want leading the Republican Party. And Trump has already scored big wins in Iowa, New Hampshire and Nevada. As for Haley, in a major speech to supporters in South Carolina on Tuesday, she pledged not to drop out. Rather, she said she was going to fight even harder. She said she's embracing her underdog status, adding that dropping out would be the easy route.
I feel no need to kiss the ring. I have no fear of Trump's retribution. I'm not looking for anything from him. My own political future is of zero concern. So I hear what the political class says, but I hear from the American people too. That's why I refuse to quit. South Carolina will vote on Saturday, but on Sunday, I'll still be running for president. I'm not going anywhere.
She also railed against the Trump-centric Republican Party, attacking conservative lawmakers, saying that they had surrendered to herd mentality. That's a reference to the former president's considerable influence over the party, despite losing the 2020 election to Joe Biden. Haley's campaign is continuing to pour money into states that hold their primaries on Super Tuesday. That's in early March, when more than a dozen states vote, which suggests even a devastating loss in South Carolina on Saturday won't see her suspending her bid for the White House. Meanwhile, Biden's re-election team have released their latest fundraising figures. In January, they say they managed to pull in $42 million and say they have a further $130 million in cash on hand for expenses. Much of that fundraising came from small-dollar grassroots donors, with payments being made online. This week, Biden is travelling to California for a fundraising trip where he's meeting supporters in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Donald Trump's election campaign has reported that it had raised $8.8 million in January, according to a financial disclosure submitted to the Federal Election Commission. Trump is closing in on the Republican nomination to face President Joe Biden, a Democrat, in the November presidential election, though he has been trailing Biden in fundraising. Trump reported having $30 million in the bank at the end of January, down from $33 million at the end of December. While Biden's campaign is yet to file its own financial disclosures for January, the campaign reported having nearly $46 million in the bank at the end of last year. A short break ahead, but after the break, PMLN and PPP gear up to form the next coalition government in Pakistan. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz President Shehbaz Sharif to be the coalition's PM candidate. In a bid to push the green economy agenda, Africa's Green Economy Summit to offer its countries transitioning to green energy pathways. We'll also give you details about the 74th Berlin International Film Festival as it unveils its complete lineup.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook of the top stories once again. Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, arrives in New Delhi on a two-day state visit. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Mitsotakis to hold bilateral discussions. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the 9th edition of Raisina Dialogue in the capital today. Prime Minister of Greece will deliver the keynote address. US vetoes UN resolution demanding immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Washington says Algerian proposed resolution would jeopardize talks to end the conflict. The Indian Air Force's Sarang aerobatic team is in action today at Asia's biggest air show. The Singapore Air Show is attended by the world's leading aircraft manufacturers and industry leaders. Patrick Falk is at the show in Singapore. He is joining us to get us more. Patrick, good morning. Now, we know the Sarang team is gearing up to perform there this morning in Singapore. What more can you tell us on that?
Well, look, the aerobatics displays are undoubtedly one of the key highlights of the Singapore Air Show. There are 5 teams performing here, including the Indian Sarang team. And what it's all about, really, it's about showcasing the ability of the pilots and some of their high level of skill. It's also an opportunity to showcase the capability of the aircraft. And there is some incredible aircraft here that is on display here. And, you know, the Sarang team will be flying advanced light helicopters, Dhruv helicopters, they're known as. They are manufactured by the Hindustan Aeronautics team, and they have been performing and showing some very agile maneuvers. And I also got an opportunity to talk to one of the pilots earlier. His name's Wing Commander Krishnan. Let's take a listen in to what he had to say. He told me about what goes through his head when he's in the sky.
What is the next maneuver? How am I supposed to do it? How can I do it safely? Nothing else goes in my way.
Tell us a little bit more about what goes into the training and, you know, what it takes.
I can start off with telling how we get selected for this. We are all operational pilots, and then we volunteer for coming to this team, which is an aerobatic display team. And then they check our temperament, they check our flying skills, and they check how professional we are, and then we are inducted into the team. And then in a step-by-step manner, we are introduced to formation flying, followed by formation flying. We are systematically introduced to display flying. And that is how we are at the team.
All right, Patrick, you've been there at the show for the last couple of days. Let us hear from you. What's the mood been like?
Well, Preeti, I'd say there's a mixture really of optimism and caution here. IATA is predicting that the number of people traveling by air will rise to 4.7 billion in 2024. That's compared to 4.5 billion in 2019. Boeing's also predicting that it will double the size of its fleet within the next 20 years. So lots of optimism there, as I say, but that mixture of caution as well. There are a lot of uncertainties. There are concerns about supply chain disruptions and geopolitical tensions as well. But overall, you know, there is a high mood here, and people, as I say, are here to exchange ideas about the aviation industry. And this is going to be going on for the next week here. We're going to be following all the action right here in Singapore.
All right, Patrick, thank you for joining in with those details. All right, let's get to other updates. The European Commission is looking to install anti-drone systems on its headquarters to protect against espionage and physical attacks. Its headquarters in Brussels is one of the main administrative centres of the European Union. DD India's correspondent Alex Kadir reports from EU Commission headquarters.
Well, this is the Berlaymont, the building which houses one of the EU's three major institutions, the European Commission. It houses around 2,000 of the European Commission's most senior staff members, including President Ursula von der Leyen. The President also has an apartment in the building. And officials here are concerned about drones being used to spy on top officials. Espionage, especially from foreign operatives, has always been rife in this city, which houses several international organizations, including the European Union, of course, and NATO. Now, local laws mean that flying drones here is already forbidden, and security around these institutions has always been tight. But in the event that a hostile actor might use drones to spy on this building, the Commission wants to have defences in place. Just last year, Belgian intelligence services warned that foreign interference here had reached its highest levels since the Cold War. Now, it's unclear what kinds of anti-drone systems may be installed here. They could include jamming devices or special cameras to detect other hostile drones. And the Commission has already reached out to companies who could provide that kind of counter-drone technology if needed. Now, officials here are all too aware of the risks posed by drones. They said as much in a report last year. It warned against drones being used for intelligence gathering and proposed a common path forward for member states to deal with that advancing technology. Now, this area is about as high profile as it gets for European institutions. Across the road is the European Council, where the EU's 27 leaders meet when they come to town. And just a short walk from here is the European Parliament. Those institutions have not yet, as far as we know, been targeted by drones, but with global tensions on the rise, the European Union and this European Commission are not taking any chances. Alex Kadia in Brussels, reporting for DD India.
The lawyers of imprisoned WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange referenced a purported assassination plot as evidence. His safety cannot be guaranteed if the UK extradites him to the United States. Now, the first day of the 52-year-old's hearing saw Assange's lawyers make their case to two High Court judges that Assange's situation is so severe that it deserves another appeal in the UK courts. DD India's Stuart Smith has more from London.
Julian Assange's team on Tuesday were attempting to show why it would be a breach of UK law to extradite the WikiLeaks founder to the United States. They didn't need to prove that their claims were true, just that there are good enough grounds for a full and proper appeal in the UK courts. While the UK and US agree to extradite people wanted for certain crimes, there are exceptions. One avenue being pursued by Assange's lawyers is to demonstrate the prosecution is political in nature and therefore that he won't receive a fair trial in America. His lawyer in court attempted to persuade the judges there's precedent in the US for people being given harsher sentences than what the evidence alone would warrant. There's also an argument being made on health grounds that Assange is so physically and mentally unwell to extradite him would be illegal. His lawyers on Tuesday said he wasn't able to attend the hearing in person or even by video link because of his health. His team say he's at risk of attempting to kill himself if extradited and that he could face treatment tantamount to torture if he ends up in US prison, for example, solitary confinement. His lawyer also relayed to judges what he says is evidence of a CIA plot to assassinate Julian Assange under the Trump presidency, highlighting the lawyer claims the risk to Assange's life if he's deported. On Wednesday, the US Justice Department will have its chance to respond to the claims made by Assange's lawyer on Tuesday, and then a judgment is expected the same day. If an appeal is denied, his team hopes the European Court of Human Rights will issue an injunction preventing his deportation. But if that doesn't succeed, or if the injunction isn't quick enough, he could, after 5 years in British jail, be off to an American one. Stuart Smith in London, reporting for DD India.
Pakistan's two major parties have finally reached an agreement to form a coalition government. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz will be backed by Pakistan People's Party in a new administration, they jointly announced. In a joint news conference late on Tuesday night, Pakistan People's Party chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari announced that Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz President Shehbaz Sharif would be the coalition's candidate for prime ministership, that the parties would push to form government as soon as possible. He added that his father, Asif Ali Zardari, will be the alliance's candidate for the country's president.
Party or Muslim League Nawaz?
I can share with you that the Pakistan People's Party and the Muslim League Nawaz have enough numbers now, and God willing, now we'll be able to work on forming a government. Now Pakistan People's Party and Muslim League Nawaz are going to form a government. We are hoping that now, God willing, Shehbaz Sharif will once again become the Prime Minister of the country very soon. We and the entire nation are praying that this government should be successful and that we should be able to resolve our internal issues, our foreign issues, and the economic problems of every Pakistani with the help of Allah. God willing, our joint candidate for the presidency of Pakistan will be President Zardari.
Protesters in Pakistan have blocked a major border crossing with neighbouring Afghanistan to protest against Islamabad's refusal to allow document-free travel. Thousands of protesters have been staging demonstrations, sit-ins and road blockades near the Chaman-Spin-Boldak border. Border police fired tear gas at hundreds of labourers who were protesting. Protests have stemmed from opposition to the newly implemented one-document requirement for travel by the Pakistani government, which has made it mandatory for all those who pass through to have a valid passport. Democratic Republic of Congo's Prime Minister Jean-Michel Sama Lukonde resigned on Tuesday, triggering dissolution of his government. Lukonde tendered his resignation to President Felix Tshisekedi 8 days after the validation of his mandate as a national deputy. He will now join Parliament as a member of the Assembly. The resignation has been accepted. However, the President has asked government to continue handling current affairs until a new government is formed. The resignation comes after France said earlier in the day that it was very concerned about the situation in the eastern part of DRC and called on Rwanda to cease its support for the M23 rebel group. African nations hope to build the continent's climate resilience by seeking more investment in the green economy. The Africa's Green Economy Summit this week in South Africa is expected to offer African countries transitioning to green energy pathways a platform to push the green economy agenda. Our Africa correspondent Leon Senyange has more on this.
Africa's Green Economy Summit starts this Wednesday in Cape Town, South Africa. The gathering of policymakers, environmental experts and investors is aimed at driving the continent towards reducing environmental risks and achieving sustainable development without degrading the environment. More than 30 projects will be on display, with the focus on companies making a tangible impact on the green economy by prioritizing agriculture, transport, energy and the water sectors. Africa continues to bear the brunt of energy inadequacies resulting from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Floods and droughts have also had an impact. The summit follows last year's COP28 conference in which states made a historic $700 million pledge to the Loss and Damage Fund. More emphasis was put on the importance of green growth in the global south. Leon Senyange reporting for DD India.
Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world now. The Harlem Renaissance is the star of a new exhibition at New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art. The exhibition showcases around 160 works of painting, sculpture, film and photography. Many of the works on display come from collections of historically black colleges and universities. The exhibit opens on 25th of February and will run through July 28th. Austrian filmmakers present their competition film at the 74th Berlin Film Festival. The Devil's Bath, produced by Austrian auteur Ulrich Siedi, is one of the 20 titles vying for the top Golden Bear Prize at this year's Berlinale. The winner will be announced in a gala ceremony on Saturday. A short break ahead. You're watching DD India News Hour. But after the break, the European Council agrees to revise its air quality directives as Milan's air pollution exceeds legal limits and ranks among the highest globally. Amid heavy rains, an atmospheric river pounded California with thunderstorms. Crews work to clean up storm damage. Jasprit Bumrah rested ahead of the fourth IDFC First Bank test against England. KL Rahul ruled out owing to quadriceps injury.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Up next, we get to some weather-related updates from across the globe. Milan residents grapple with bad air and wore face masks as some suffered with skin irritation and eye discomfort due to the dirty air. The European Council agreed to revise its air quality directives, which aim to reach zero pollution by 2050. Levels of fine particles and other pollutant agents in Milan's air have exceeded legal limits and rank among the highest globally. A city of just over 1 million people, Milan lies almost one-third of Italy's population. The valley's 17 million inhabitants make it one of the most populated areas, in fact polluted areas in Europe. An atmospheric river pounded California with thunderstorms packing gusty winds. The storms knocked out power for more than 11,000 residents, flooded roads, knocked down trees, and shut down Santa Barbara Airport for the day. In the southern Californian beach city of Oceanside, the cleanup crews used bulldozers and other equipment to clean up mounds of stones, rocks, and debris washed ashore by the storm. Heavy rains are expected to douse much of southern California till Wednesday. Intense rains wreaked havoc in Bolivia. At least 33 have died due to the bad weather. The authorities have issued a red alert in the capital town of Bolivia with risk of overflow. In Oruro, West Bolivia, families had to be rescued with boats after the Paria River swelled and overflowed on Sunday, leaving thousands of families affected. Since last week, incessant rainfall has kept La Paz authorities on watch as the region witnessed landslides in different areas. Updates from business now. Sluggish performance of the U.S. stocks weighed heavy on the Asian markets as they struggled in the opening session on Wednesday. U.S. stocks closed in the red on Tuesday as investigators looked to big retailer earnings ahead of the results to provide insight into consumer resilience amid concerns about sky-high valuation of certain major tech stocks. The tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite led the declines, dropping nearly 1%. The S&P 500 fell about 0.6%, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped roughly 0.2%. After the three indices closed with declines. Stocks in Asia fell on Wednesday after traders treaded cautiously ahead of results of certain star tech stocks. Now that dragged Wall Street down on Tuesday. While Japan's Topix fell 0.1%, Hong Kong's Hang Seng was down 0.6% and the Shanghai Composite slipped by 0.6% during the opening session. And now in DD India News Hour, we'll get you updates from the world of sports. The BCCI on Tuesday confirmed Jasprit Bumrah's release from the Indian squad, including KL Rahul being ruled out for the fourth test against England. Vice-captain Jasprit Bumrah has been released from the squad for the IDFC First Bank test against England in Ranchi. Meanwhile, KL Rahul is ruled out of the fourth test. His participation in the final test match in Dharamsala is subject to fitness. Pacer Mukesh Kumar, who was released from the squad for the third test in Rajkot, has joined the team in Ranchi and is likely to replace Bumrah, the highest wicket taker of the series, with 17 scalps in the playing 11. Now, the fourth test match between India and England will kickstart from Friday onwards. The fourth edition of the Khelo India University Games is currently underway in the Indian state of Assam. The major events scheduled for today include basketball, football, table tennis, archery and shooting, along with men's and women's finals in Kabaddi. At the Khelo India University Games this year, medals will be offered in 20 sports with around 4,500 athletes from over 200 Indian universities competing for medals. The 11-day-long Khelo India University Games will conclude on 29th of February. On the International Mother Tongue Day, we celebrate the unique languages that connect us to our heritage and culture. From the rolling R's of Spanish to the lyrical tones of Mandarin to the sweet notes of Bengali, our languages are a testament to our individual and collective identity. Let's take a look at Sujata Lochup's report on this.
On 21st February, we celebrate the International Mother Language Day, a concept that originated in Bangladesh and was officially recognized at the 1999 UNESCO General Conference. Since 2000, this day has been observed worldwide, emphasizing the importance of linguistic diversity and promoting multilingualism. The theme for the 2024 celebration is Multilingual Education is a Pillar of Intergenerational Learning, highlighting the significance of mother tongue education in supporting learning, literacy, and language acquisition. In this world, there is nothing in which there is no penetration of word. All cognition that human being obtains through 5 sense organs is subject to word. India, with its rich linguistic diversity, has a deep-rooted multilingual heritage. Writing in India dates back over 4,000 years to the Indus Valley civilization, with 2.4% of the world's land and 16% of its population. The country boasts an estimated 1,652 mother tongues, making it a unique and vibrant tapestry of languages and voices. The term mother tongue is now defined by the census as the language spoken in childhood by the person's mother or mainly spoken at home. India, with a population of about 1.1 billion, is administratively organized into 35 entities based on the linguistic principle, comprising 28 states and 7 union territories. Indian Constitution recognizes 22 major languages listed in the 8th schedule, including Assamese, Bangla, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Punjabi, Tamil and Urdu. The country also has numerous minor languages and dialects with a vast literary landscape and a deep-rooted multilingual heritage. India is making strides in promoting linguistic diversity with Digital India Bhashini. It enables easy access to the internet and digital services in Indian languages, including voice-based access, and help the creation of content in Indian languages.
Those who are coming from Tamil Nadu, I request them to use your earphone. First time using AI technology.
As evidenced by the Prime Minister's commitment to inclusive growth through technology,
SCO के अंतर्गत भाषा संबंधी बाधाओं को हटाने के लिए हमें भारत के AI बेस्ड लैंग्वेज प्लेटफॉर्म भाषिणी को सभी के साथ साझा करने में खुशी होगी। यह डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ का एक उदाहरण बन सकता है।
As we mark International Mother Tongue Day, may we continue to recognize and cherish the beauty of linguistic diversity, and may our languages continue to be a source of pride and connection for generations to come. Sujata Lochab for DD India.
All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
हेलो, आप तो वो हो ना? भैया बताओ ना हमारी लॉटरी कब लगेगी?
चलिए एक लिंक भेजता हूँ, उस पर क्लिक करो और लॉटरी पाओ।
98222 बिल्कुल चूचू नहीं। यूपीआई कहता है किसी भी अनजान लिंक पर क्लिक मत करो। अपने पैसे का ध्यान खुद रखो। और आप पैदल ही जाएंगे?
टैक्सी!
आप भी ये जानकारी शेयर करें और अपने आस-पास के भोले को बचाएं।
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such change makers.
Watch Change Makers on DD India.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.